Hello Sioux Falls, and welcome to the planning preview for the month of March 2021. Our regular scheduled meeting will take place on March 3rd at 6 p.m. at Carnegie Town Hall. As always, we invite members of the public to come out and give input on agenda and non-agenda items. Today we'll be talking with Jason Bieber with the City of Sioux Falls. Hi Jason, how are you today?
Good, just trying to keep warm. So.
Yeah, you got it. We're about approximately 2 months or so into the year. How are things going for the City of the Planning Office so far?
Busy. We had January, we had another record January for building permits, valuation. So yeah, it's busy, it's good.
Good, great to hear. Well, today we're going to be going through our agenda items, and let's go ahead and get started. Our first item is a conditional use permit for accessory on-site parking located at 505 West 81st Street. This is over South Minnesota, close to Schulte Subaru. Tell us about this one.
Yep, yeah, this is actually an accessory parking lot for Subaru, Schulte Subaru. If you haven't been over there, it seems like they keep expanding, and Subaru's kind of everybody buys a Subaru, it seems like. So they want a little area north of their existing dealership to kind of store some of the cars waiting to kind of bring onto their existing lot. So
okay, got it. Let's go to the next one, another conditional use permit. This one's for on-sale alcoholic beverage establishment located at 3611 East 10th Street. This is over by Bonson and Ted. Tell us about this one.
Yep, they're just looking to do another casino within an existing strip mall kind of a deal. So
okay, makes sense. Next up is another conditional use permit for on-sale alcoholic beverage establishment. This one's at 4920 North Cliff Avenue, so down actually up north on North Cliff and 60th. Tell us about this one.
Yep, this is that gas station that's up there, and there's I think Marlin's is part of it too, so they're looking to actually add a little bar / casino within that gas station. Kind of different uses going on in that area. So
gotcha. Next up is a rezone from the heavy industrial district to the I-1 light industrial district. This looks like the old Gage Brothers site, is that right?
Yeah, this one's kind of exciting, as you know, with Gage Brothers moving way out east on Rice and Bonson, building that state-of-the-art plant. They kind of abandoned their existing site that's right on the intersection of 12th and the interstate, which is, from a planning perspective, you know, that's probably a pretty heavy commercial area. So this is a way for this to redevelop this. So they're looking to go from that heavy industrial to light industrial, and that really gives them a plethora of uses they can do there. Light industrial zoning district allows you retail, office, and then also kind of on the south side of that property, they're thinking about maybe doing some other light industrial uses. So this should get us some redevelopment there, and really maybe get that parcel to be able to be used for what it probably should be according to our comprehensive plan. So
sure, it's quite the site, and we don't see a lot of down zones, if you will, from heavy down to light, so fairly uncommon, right? But it gives them a little bit more flexibility there. Is that true? Yep,
and I think in the next year there is a lot of interest in retail actually on that intersection or on that property. So I think we'll see some announcements in the next year for some exciting businesses to go onto that lot.
Very nice. Good to see that. Next up is a rezone from single-family residential to also to single-family residential, but it'll go from the suburban district into the traditional district. That's located at 500 South Elmwood Avenue.
Yeah, so this is like we always talk about with one of the beauties of Shaped Places is that we created that single-family residential traditional district, and that's really for these small lots within the core area. Elmwood, 500 South Elmwood is in the core area. This lot wouldn't really be able to have a single-family house built on it if we wouldn't have that RT1 zoning district. So really gives them more flexibility and allows them some different development options to really be able to redevelop and get some of these affordable houses. So
sure. Next up is a rezone from O Office District to the RA2 Apartment Residential, as well as some Conservation District. That's located at 85th and east of Townsley Avenue, over by 85th and the I-29 area. We've got a lot of movement in that area, don't we?
Yep. So this is just east of Tallgrass and 85th. So if you've seen over there, that area is blown up a lot. There's tons of construction going on over there. And so this is a lot that's adjacent to 85th and kind of that first access point off 85th into that development. and they're looking to do some apartments instead of just that office uses, which is typically we see office or apartments at those first intersections, so they're kind of interchangeable, the uses. So.
Sure, yeah, it's great to see that area developing. Next up is a rezone from the RT2 residential townhome district to the O office district. That's at 406 West 4th Street, kind of by Minnesota Avenue downtown.
Yep, correct. So this is right off of Minnesota Avenue, and they're looking to go to office and construct an office building kind of on these parcels. There's about 4 or 5 parcels that from Minnesota that currently don't have anything on them, so it's a good redevelopment of that specific site. So
sure. Next, we have a rezone from single-family residential suburban up to RD1 twin home / duplex district, suburban districts to the RA3 apartment residential, high density, and I1 light industrial districts. This is located at 1700 East 72nd Street North. So that is up north of I-90.
Yep, this is that Granite Valley subdivision. And this was kind of one of those things that got hit pretty hard, this subdivision, with the market crash of 2008.
Okay.
And really, it's kind of one of those mixed-use things. There's quite a bit of industrial on the south and east side of this, and then there's some single-family and things in the center of this residential development. This is going way on the east side, and it's currently adjacent to some light industrial on the south of this. So it kind of makes sense to maybe increase a little bit of the industrial to the north, get one more parcel there, but we also got to be really conscious about the existing single family and future single family out there. So we really want to make sure that they're going to have those proper transitions as we move forward with this specific application. So.
Yeah, certainly, certainly. Next on the list is a rezone from the RA3 apartment residential high density district to the C3 commercial community district, located north of 41st and west of T. Ellis Road.
Yeah, so this is the northwest corner there, and the northeast corner, we know that's where Fairway's going and some other retail uses. So this is Lloyd that's doing the northwest corner. They're already starting to construct some apartments out there. This was a lot that they thought they were going to maybe use for apartments, but it sounds like they have kind of a larger retail user that would like to go on this parcel. It's still within that first access point, and it's on the corner of 2 arterials, major arterials, so still kind of fits in pretty good with our comprehensive plan. So.
Sure, yeah, another part of town that's really getting busy. Next on the list is a rezone from Live Work to the RA1 apartment residential low density district, located east of South Fost Avenue and south of East 18th Street. This looks like a portion of the Dolly Farm area. Yeah,
so this is just west and northwest of all those kind of townhome type things they've constructed out there, north of Rosa Park School. They're looking at, so they're doing a large mixed-use building to the east of this, and then this lot they're looking at doing kind of a smaller apartment building, 2 stories, and then hopefully that'll provide a pretty good transition into those single family that are kind of already out there on the west of Foss Avenue. So
Sure. Next, we have an initial development plan amendment for Augustana University's PUD located at 2001 South Summit Avenue.
Yeah, this is just, Augustana, they're always doing amendments to their PUD, specifically when they decide to construct new buildings. I believe this one, they're looking to construct a new large dorm room on their campus, which is usually a pretty good sign that if they're constructing dorm rooms, they must have more students coming in. And obviously with universities getting more students, that's always good for Sioux Falls. So.
Sure, of course. And then finally is that preliminary subdivision plan for that Gage Brothers site that we already talked about.
Yep, so we talked about the rezoning earlier, but this is actually the preliminary subdivision that kind of gives you an idea of how they're going to lay it out, gives you those lot and blocks and different things like that. So like I said before, this is going to be exciting. It's kind of one of those big redevelopment things, and it could be a really cool development here. So
very good. Well, stay with us. That concludes the first half of our program, but Jason's going to stay with us for the second half, where we're going to talk about the various applications and the different numbers that we see coming through a planning commission.
Hello and welcome to today's Maintenance Minute. I'm Seth and I'm here with Bruce. We are housing specialists with the City of Sioux Falls, and we're here to talk to you about making your home more efficient. Well, Bruce, we're looking at a door here. What's a good way to make a door more efficient?
Well, the best thing you can do is make sure that your weather strip is in good condition. Something that's fairly easy to do. Do some checking around the edges, see if, when your door is closed, if you can see daylight around the edges, more than likely you're going to need new weather stripping. And that's something that you can get at pretty much any hardware store. You can just pull the old stuff out. There's usually a saw cut around the edge where this can slip into. If it doesn't have that, they make some stuff that you can just put up against the door. There's some small screws that go in there, and like that, you're done.
Okay. And you can find that at any hardware store around town?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Well, thank you, Bruce. There you go, folks. That's another way to make your home more energy efficient. If you'd like to see if one of our city programs can help you out, call 367-8180 or check us out online at siouxfalls.org.
Welcome back from the break. Thank you for sticking with us. I'm here today with Jason Bieber from the city of Sioux Falls. And for the second half of our program, we're going to talk about some of the applications that came in during an interesting year. That was 2020. Jason, it was, as I said, quite the time at the Planning Commission as well as for everybody else in 2020. But we still had quite a few applications come through. Why don't you tell us about what we saw from a numbers perspective in 2020?
Yeah, and you know, when we heard from Butch last month, our chief building official, about our record permit numbers that we had, which was pretty astonishing, to be honest with you. I think everybody didn't expect that to happen. And, you know, we did probably expect a little bit of a downtick on our planning commission cases just with COVID and everything that happened. But really, last year, our 2020, we did 105 total cases. The year before, we did 119, which isn't a big drop from those. So we were pretty much on par. We did 56 rezones. Typically, we do 63. So we were right there with that aspect of it, which is a good sign for us. And I think if we wouldn't have had COVID hit, we probably would have done another 50 or 60 rezones, CUPs, different things like that. So. Yeah,
well, that's fascinating, and it is good to see those numbers still maintained with everything that was going on and so much uncertainty, especially in the spring months. Let's maybe talk about the seasonality a little bit of it. I know we saw a dip at certain points, and then things kind of got a little busy. Talk about that.
Yeah, typically when we go through a planning commission cycle, our slowest months are usually December, January, February. And it was kind of funny this year, just some numbers here. Our slowest months for 2020 were actually April, June, and July, which doesn't happen ever. Those are usually our busiest months. Those are the times where we're doing the 16 and 17. And even August, we only did 5 applications. Those are our busiest months. And now actually at the end of the year is where we became the busiest. I mean, we had October, we had 16 cases. Typically, we probably have 7 in October. So you can see how everybody was kind of, I don't know if this is going to pass, or when is this going to pass. And then we started getting, an idea of maybe we're getting on the downhill instead of the uphill. And you can see where September, October, November, December, we had over 10 cases, which usually never happens. So that was exciting for us. Yeah, and it's fascinating to think back and think of, all the uncertainty we had in that spring, and then even in the summer a little bit too. People just didn't know, so I can understand that there were some projects that maybe people waited on a little bit. And I think that maybe be a good time to talk about a little bit of the lag period as well, because as we know, you can't just immediately get on a planning commission. So there's some certain deadlines. So even though August may have been down, but that's probably when people were really starting to get things going again, to get back. Talk about the timing a little bit and what deadlines need to be met to get on an agenda. Great point. So typically our deadline to get on an agenda is the first Monday of the month. So just an example, the first Monday you'd have to submit your application the first Monday of August, let's say. And that would actually get you on the Planning Commission meeting for September. So it'd be the first Wednesday then in September. So you see there's about that 5-week lag between getting your application in until you get heard by the Planning Commission. And then actually once the Planning Commission hears it, then you go through the 2 cycles of City Council. And so you actually don't get approved by City Council till the following month So you'd be into October, and then you'd actually be effective at the end of October. So typically, depending on where you fall on the things, it's usually about a 3-month process to go from application to actually being effective and having a little color change on the map, and be able to actually start construction and things like that. So.
Yeah, sure. And yeah, there is a little bit of lag, but I think that's important to make sure the process is followed correctly and everybody gets public input as needed.
Yep, we have all those different notice of hearings that we have to do, letters to send out, and it's really, that's really the main thing, is to, like you said, to make sure everybody that we can is notified, and people have a chance to voice their opinions about these specific rezones in all of our applications. So
yeah, sure. Well, there was certainly a lot of change in 2020, and we saw a lot of change in uses and a lot of change in what people want to see going forward. And I think something that comes to mind is maybe developers not being as excited about office space as they used to be. Was that something that was evident in our number of applications and switching over in rezones, or is it kind of tough to tell yet whether that's come through?
No, I think you've actually hit it pretty well on the nail on the head there. It seemed like we did have a lot of rezones from office to apartments to the RA zoning districts, and I think that was just a thing of the times. I think we're getting to where most of our apartments are full. I mean, I had one of the developers tell me that he's like, if you want an apartment, they have about 500 units. If you want to get an apartment, it's 5 weeks.
Wow.
Which is pretty crazy, in 500 units and all these different ones. So yeah, I do think we had that. I think when we're going forward, what we're going to try and maybe do as a planning department, and maybe work with the developers better, especially when they're developing land that's vacant and not adjacent to anything, is to really have them try and utilize that LW, live work district, because that allows you the flexibility to do office or apartments, and we really can give those neighbors then an idea what's going to go there.
Sure.
It could be office or apartments, instead of saying it's going to be office and then having it rezoned to apartments, because we try and those are kind of interchangeable from a compatibility standpoint from the planning office and our comprehensive plan next to single family. So
Yep, and we like to see that at the commission too, because we've seen that this last year. There gets to be a little bit of angst, amongst neighbors if that does change from office to apartment. But that live work, if that's in place, then they can know, it could be or, and it is truly up to them to decide at a later time.
Yes, and I think it's a great zoning district. So we've tried to, where it makes sense in there to do office or apartments, just why not zone a live work, and then you have the option to do either.
Yeah. Okay, so in conclusion, an interesting year at the Planning Commission. Quite the dip there, spring and summertime, but then it really picked up. We hit on it a little bit earlier in the show, but we're seeing things still stay pretty high traffic through the Planning Commission going forward into 21, huh?
Yes, you saw our February or March meeting. That's quite a few applications, even for March, 15 or so. And just one other couple quick things that we did in 2020 I just wanted to run through is, we had 12 preliminary subdivision plans, which is quite a few for a year. And those are really the large developments and people getting ground ready to really start building. Yeah. And that was 371 acres. So think about 371 more acres.
Wow.
Getting ready, getting to the point where we're ready to start building roads and infrastructure and then start developing these specific developments. So that's a big number.
Yeah.
And we platted about 1,100 acres last year. So
wow,
that's pretty crazy.
That's fascinating to see. And if you could real quick, Jason, tell us about what goes into a preliminary subdivision plan. They really are truly preliminary, and there can be changes later. And I think it's important that people know that. What do we like to see in a preliminary subdivision?
Yep, great question, because we always kind of run into that. And really, the preliminary subdivision plan is that first step in the subdivision process. So that's where you take the large developments, the 80 acres. You give us a preliminary lot and block layout. So we want to know how the roads are going to preliminarily look. They can change your water, sewer, your drainage, and your zoning. That's really what we're looking for preliminarily. This is kind of the first brush with this, and then we do have other aspects with that subdivision process. The next step is your what we call development engineering plans. And those then take, say, the 80 acres, and maybe we're going to do work on phase 1 is in the southwest corner. So we're going to take 20 acres and do our development engineering plan. And then that hones in even more in depth about what size of sewer do we need? Where is it going to be located? How deep does it have to be? Do we need a drainage pond? It really starts to get into the more of the nitty gritty. And then you go into construction plans. That's how you're actually going to construct the road.
Yep.
And then you actually can plat it and then come down for a building permit. So there's so many steps in that process. And I think a lot of citizens don't realize that the preliminary plan is literally, you're just making sure everything's there.
Yep.
You've got your box for your bike that you're building. You're making sure you have 2 wheels, a seat, a steering wheel, and a chain.
Yep, that's a good
the
way to
first
put it.
step. So,
Good.
and then
Good.
everything else is constructing it. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Well, thank you, Jason, for coming today. I think that's some great information. And thank you for tuning in today for the planning preview. As a reminder, our March meeting will be on March 3rd at 6 p.m. at Carnegie Town Hall. And we invite you to come down and give some public input. Thank you.